we see the door open to the TARDIS, walking through in bathing suits. We see Bethany Parks. We see Jeffrey. Their impromptu hangers-on since Dinosaur Hunt. And then we see the Drifter. You're all sopping wet. You're very excited because this was the first time that you guys got a couple of days, it seems, to just have fun with the time-space machine that you have had. So the Drifter found a planet that is literally just a beach, just a giant beach with water in front of it, and you guys got to go swim and see some wonderful wildlife with flying whales that would dip in and out of the water before traveling back out into space. Just amazing, cool sights. And for the first time, you guys have been at peace for a couple of days. There's been no talk of the Bohemian. There's been no talk of any world-ending terrors, any sorts of threats, anything like that. That being said, you guys walk into the TARDIS. The door shuts behind you. You guys are happy. Jeffrey's like, well, I think I'm going to have to get changed out of this. He's sopping wet, and he is like wearing like he's well defined. Like Jeffrey is like cut out of glass sort of dude, like a sneak swole bro. Like he usually wears much more baggier like suits and stuff, but now that he's been in beach attire, he's very very beefcakey. He's got some long trunks on, and he's going to go change out of his attire. And yeah, Bethany, you should probably do the same. Okay. You head upstairs to change out of your attire to one of the 7 bedrooms that have manifested in the TARDIS, which is a running joke. However, Jeffrey is actually waiting in your bedroom this time. And he kind of stands up, he walks over to Beth, and he's like, Bethany, I have to tell you something. As he begins to speak, we cut back to the Drifter. The Drifter kind of walks over to his console. Real quick, Drifter, what would Drifter wear to the beach? Would he just be in his Drifter attire, or...
No, I think finally getting to relax. I would say, like, board shorts and a Hawaiian shirt. So, like, wild, a little bit tacky.
Nice. Perfect. Very, very perfect for the genre. You're kind of over at the console. The door's shut. You're starting to flip switches to try and decide to where to go next. And then all of a sudden, the house that has traveled with you through thick and thin since the beginning, the house that you've been relatively obsessed with, a light suddenly turns on in the window, garnishing the Drifter's attention, which nothing like that has ever happened with this small toy house. Meanwhile, upstairs, we switch back to Jeffrey, and he goes, I know you have this infatuation, this idolization with the Drifter, and he is a miraculous wizard, but the person who has truly shown me, Bethany, the wonders of the universe has not been him. It has been you. And I would be remiss if I didn't... And then we switch back to the house. Drifter, you are drawn to pick the house up, to kind of look at the house, to figure out what the house is going on. You pick up the house, and as you pick up the house, you notice that the door has a tiny little door knob on it for the first time ever. And it also looks...
Pause for a second.
Shh. You look at the door, and you notice that there is a doorknob on the door, on the front of the door, that has never been there before. And the door itself looks like your poor purple door, like the TARDIS. It beckons you to grab it, to touch it, to open it.
I've been dreading this.
Yeah?
He opens the door.
Okay. As soon as you click the opening, we switch back to Jeff and Beth. Jeff actually steps forward, not in an aggressive manner, but obviously a romantic manner to Bethany. He reaches one arm up softly, but takes her shoulder, and he goes, "The one who has shown me the beauty of the universe has been you, Bethany, and if you have not noticed how I feel for you, I will regret nothing more than to not tell you." Boom! The doors, both on either side of the bedroom, shut and latch, stopping him from saying whatever he's about to say. He kind of looks back and forth and he goes, I'm sorry, did you do that?
No, wasn't me.
Instead, you guys hear a low, melodinous voice. "No, that was me." Alright, so at this point, we cut right back to Bethany and Jeffrey in the bedroom. Jeffrey is just kind of like looking around, like his eyes scanning. He's like, "I don't see anyone else." "You wouldn't see anyone else. I am all around you, but yet directly behind you." He kind of spins around and looks. There's nobody there. He looks at Bethany and goes, "Bethany, do you know what this is?"
I have no idea. This has never happened before.
"It has taken me some time to escape my prison, and it has taken me even longer to find a way to regain control of what I rightfully took from that damn doctor all those years ago. But I have it now. The person this TARDIS chose to be its protector was a pale imitation of the one who defeated me before. And now it's all mine, humans."
Do you have a name, sir?
"You may refer to me as House."
I've watched a television show before with that name.
"I am not aware of it."
You should watch it. It's a really good doctor. It's a TV show about this wonderful doctor.
"I would like both of you to plead your case as to why you think I should let you live."
Oh my God. I don't even know who you are.
"Well, let me give you a demonstration." It's at this point all the oxygen in the room is removed, and we're gonna switch over to the Drifter. The Drifter, you open the door, and as soon as you open the door, basically the house kind of disintegrates in front of you in this kind of black cloud almost. The cloud washes itself away from its hand, almost moving with a sentience. It slams itself into the console. It kind of spreads out on the console like drywall dust falling from the roof to the floor, almost like the console of the TARDIS is fighting it. And then out of nowhere, the black dust seems to find pores, holes, whatever, and sucks into the console. You see the long cylinder in the center of the TARDIS that seems to kind of power its decisions all of a sudden start to fill with black. It does not all the way fill with black, almost as if like 5% full of black. It just starts to fill, and you can see that line ever slowly increasing. Doctor, I want you to give me a mechanics and intelligence check. Is mechanics a skill we have? Says the guy who wrote the game. Oh wait, this is narrative.
Yep, we switched.
I am dumb. We're gonna get an intelligence check. This is mechanical in nature though, so if you have any things that would aid you in this, you can use them.
Nope.
Even your Sonic?
I use my Sonic for breaking things.
Okay, fair enough.
Or the crowbar, the screwdriver.
I like it. We should start calling it the Sonic Crowbar. I'm totally okay with that.
I'm okay with this. I'm just gonna note that on the sheet. That's a 17, though. I'll take that.
Oh wow! Way to win, Drifter coming in with the hot rolls today. It's only it takes him 6 episodes to warm up.
You know, and then it's just over like that.
All right, you can tell just by looking at it and using your incredibly large brain, you can tell that you have maybe an hour before that console fills with black, before that tube fills with black, and when that happens, well, something bad's going to happen because you're not quite sure what's going to happen. It's at this point, though, that the oxygen does start to leave the console room. Something is trying to kill you. The TARDIS is trying to kill you, without a doubt, trying to get you. What do you do?
I like nope, flip. Are you? What's going? What is? Oh no!
All right, give me a give me another intelligence check.
8.
Okay. You are unable to restore air. The air is leaving this room. You have to leave this room or your lungs will come out of your mouth. Like, that is what is going to happen.
Oh, sounds delicious.
And just like that, it's gone. Alright, so the center cylinder is filling with black. The console is kind of okay.
Yes, you could flip switches on it. It seems like whatever the black was gained purchase in the center through the console, but it doesn't look like you can't mess with the console.
I'm going to... Well... Is there like a... It's just venting out.
Yeah, it's just venting out. You've got seconds before there's no air in the room, and you're in a vacuum seal.
I don't quite know how all this works. Because...
You are new to it all, that is true. I mean, honestly...
I'm going to take a deep breath and try again and try to hold my breath to get to the exit door if this next attempt fails.
Okay, give me another roll. And it does become glaringly obvious to the Drifter for the first time, like, you got these powers, you got this TARDIS, you got so utterly excited about both of them that you never stopped to ask why, how, when, where, and definitely why you. So, like, you are kind of at a position where you're like, I don't know how half this stuff works. I've been making it work. I've been almost faking it till I make it, and not realizing that there are serious consequences to this.
I haven't had that much time to worry about it.
That's true. I've been keeping you guys.
It's been kind of it's been a busy week.
Yeah. You're definitely my Etchelson. He never gets the time to think about anything.
No. Nope. Just run.
The minute it comes to a realization, he has to regenerate.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah. All right.
Yeah. So give me that roll. Give me that intelligence roll.
That's a 20.
Nice. All right. You flip some switches. You realize it becomes glaringly obvious that you have not stopped the oxygen from leaving the room. You have slowed it, however. However, through the process of fighting this, because you rolled so good, you notice that something's playing against you. Something is flipping switches against you. It's not, you're not just like, it's not the TARDIS is just malfunctioning because of whatever this substance is and you're unable to flip switches. No. You're hitting the right switches and those switches are then being reflipped. So something is playing the game against you. Something with a much deeper knowledge of how this TARDIS specifically works than you. It is at this point, though, that you realize that you have given yourself some extra time. You need to get out of this room. As you start to look for an exit, start to go for an exit, you start to hear just the tiniest chuckle. I've been looking forward to this. A facsimile you may be. I am going to enjoy this. You run to the door is locked. You run to another door, the door is locked. It is at this point, however, there is a small access panel, and I know you as a player have had bad experience with access panels in my games, but you see...
I've been very effective at cost of my own hit points with access panels.
Inside joke, Jackie. We played a Star Trek game, and he was in an access tunnel for basically the entire first campaign, and it was a roller coaster ride. But he did a lot of good.
I'm notoriously difficult to stop.
Yes.
However, I suffer the whole way.
That is a good way to put it. It's at this point, this access panel just slides open, almost like a message to you to go for it. And you hear the voice go, no, you won't. And you know that it's time to run for it. You sprint for it. I'm guessing. All right, yeah. You sprint for it as fast as you can. You can feel this evil entity trying to flip switches to get that thing to close. And sure enough, that thing slides closed just as you rush into it. So we switch back to Bethany and Jeffrey, you guys have now collapsed to your hands and knees. I need an endurance roll from you.
21.
Okay, you manage to not become immediately in shock or afraid. You manage to not pass out. You manage to keep your presence. You use that nurse training. You take smaller breaths. You know what's happening. You're trying to stay alert. One thing that does grip Bethany with fear is, as much as as good as she's doing, as not panicking as she is, as much panic as she is avoiding, she realizes there is no way out of this. Whatever is removing the oxygen from this room, if it continues to do so, Bethany will die, and she has no way to stop that. She doesn't know enough about the TARDIS to open the doors. She's in the Drifter's world, and the Drifter isn't here, and her only ally is half-soaked Jeffrey in beach shorts. Who is he's really struggling. He's just just gasping. It is, however, at that moment that the air suddenly stops being removed from the room and slowly starts to flood back in, allowing Bethany to kind of slowly catch her breath. Jeffrey to be like, what is this thing? What is this thing? I am an entity, stronger than either of you could even understand. One who craves entertainment and a new setting. I tried to get that before, but I was unfortunately detained. Now, I will have it.
Excuse me, sir. You said your name is House. Are you like an AI system? We've kind of ran into a few of those.
I am so much more complicated than an AI system.
Okay. Well, what is it that you're wanting?
Entertainment. Can you two provide me with entertainment?
What kind of entertainment? I can dance.
Well, let's try it out. Go ahead and give me a charisma roll and dance for him. He's a sadistic motherfucker. Let's see if Bethany
15.
can shake it. How much?
15.
Bethany dances all right. He goes, that is a qualified dance. So you're dancing, and he seems to be quiet for now. Jeffrey kind of touches the back of your calf, almost trying to figure out what to do. And he goes, what do you want me to do?
Just let me handle it.
He goes, all right. Are you going to defeat him with dancing?
Probably not. If you want, try and make your way to the door and get the drifter.
Okay, I will. He starts to walk towards the door. He actually gets to the door. He hits the door, kind of pulls the latch. The door actually opens, and he walks through the door. He kind of like crawls through the door. It's kind of funny. Like he's almost being stealthy, like trying to avoid it, even though he has no idea how whatever this is seeing him. He kind of looks back through the door and he goes, Bethany, come on. We can make a break for it.
Jeffrey, I'm fine. You shut the door.
Jeffrey's like, I can't leave. As he says leave you, the door shuts like, and you just hear, oops, sorry about that. I did find it truly entertaining that he thought that he was sneaking past me. You must not keep him around for his intelligence.
He's a nice guy.
He goes, ooh. I was, as released, listening to the confession of love from that addle-minded idiot. So you were going to turn him down, weren't you?
Not technically. I was going to be kind, and just kind of let him know, like, the feelings weren't mutual.
Ooh.
I like him. He's a nice guy. It's just, we haven't really known each other that long.
House goes, wonderful. Now we're talking entertainment. And he opens the door to Jeffrey. We're going to switch back to Drifter. Drifter, you slide down a shaft. Kind of this way and that. Give me an agility check. As you are trying to manage your velocity.
18. Don't worry, the flies will come back.
Let me get that. I gotta get another. Because I only gave Bethany one roll. No, I gave Bethany 2 rolls. She had the dancing. That's right. Alright. So he got a check too. Alright. Drifter, you flop out of this thing. Like you kind of hit your feet and your arms to the side to kind of slow your fall. Kind of makes that squeaking noise, and you end up sliding into a panel and just kind of clanking there for a second. You get a little soreness in your legs and whatnot. You're like, and you kind of realize you're still in a bathing suit, like a
makes this kind of. It looks cool, but it makes this terrible flap, 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 flap sound from the flip flops.
Yes, you have flip flops. Beach shorts and a Hawaiian T-shirt on. So this is the true the true pedestal of heroics for dress. But then the panel in front of you slides open and you kind of roll out into a room. This is not a room you've ever seen before. But give me an intelligence check as you kind of look around.
15?
15, that's pretty good, man. Alright, so it takes you a second as you look around this room, because you've never seen this room before. And if you've never seen this room before, that means this room existed before you entered the TARDIS. Which,
probably.
If you remember the condition that the TARDIS was in when you first entered it, like wrecked and destroyed, and then when you regenerated, it regenerated. You remember that, right? Mm-hmm. From episode 1. Callback, bitches. This room is still destroyed and wrecked and rusted and broken down. It almost looks like a preserved piece of the original TARDIS that you stepped into before. What's even more interesting is there's pieces, shambles, all sorts of stuff in this little section. And it is at that point, because you rolled so good, that you realize where you are. You are in the archive room. This is a kind of like an infinite liminal space for the TARDIS to set stuff that it deems important, too important to delete, but that it no longer has a use for.
I'm going to get so much tetanus in here. like double space tetanus or something. What is any of this?
Don't lick anything. It might have lead paint.
You start to look around. Like I said, there's a lot of piecemeal, kind of stuff, kind of crudely put together. But you do notice something on some of the walls. What this looks like is a junkyard. Straight up looks like a junkyard. Of pieces and whatnot. Not so much on the floor, but on the walls, up against the walls. One thing you start to notice on those walls, though, as you pull some of the junk apart, is almost like graphics. They're not the most well-done graphics. They're very crudely drawn, almost, but they're like kind of math equations. Kind of like somebody like trying to decide, like almost like in one of the crazy-ass Mission Impossible scenes where Tom Cruise has got to write the stuff on the wall like he knows complex physics math. Like, that's kind of what it looks like. like a stunt that he's planning out as fast as he can when he only has 3 minutes or whatever to jump off a building. Like, that kind of thing. What you notice in this is calculations for some very weird stuff, and you're not quite sure if your brain has high enough functionality to get it. So why don't you go ahead and give me an intelligence roll? Tell me what you get.
Be a little bit harder. I'm really frightened of what's going to come with these dice. 17?
They're all across the board for you.
This is a lot of large of 2-digit numbers. This doesn't happen to be often. Everybody watching can confirm it's either a 19 or 7 fours in a row.
The equations aren't so much equations as almost the language of math explaining to you certain things that you just couldn't grasp without them. Almost like something else is trying to talk to you without being able to talk to you directly. You get that feeling as you kind of translate through these. One of the things you understand from this is that you didn't know where the TARDIS came from, but at some point, this TARDIS was created out of junk. It is not an original TARDIS. It is not, or whatever the original TARDIS was, this isn't one. This is like a junk car. This is like somebody went to a junkyard and pulled home a frame and like put together a car out of it slowly from pieces that they found in the junkyard. That's the TARDIS that this is. That's the first little chunk of this that you get. You're not exactly sure why anyone would do that, especially if their technology could already make these, whatever.
Oh no, I would totally do that. Well, I find this extremely endearing.
Okay, so, well, there you go. This is the junker version of a car, but you do find more quadratic and mathematical equations just like written farther down the wall in this little section. And one thing becomes kind of apparent to you is that this is archived not because of what the room looks like, but what is written on the walls. You're starting to get a feel that that's the history of the very TARDIS that is with you. And then we're going to switch back to Bethany. Bethany. Okay, so Bethany, this is going to get rough for you. The door pops open, and Jeffrey's just standing there, and he's like, I was pounding on the door. I was trying to get in. I was out there for an hour and a half, which does not make sense to you, because it's only been like 10 seconds, maybe. He's like, are you all right? He rushes in and like grabs you and hugs you. He's like, I thought it had killed you. I thought something had happened to you.
Jeffrey, honey, I'm fine. And I kind of gently like push him back a little bit because again he's in my bubble.
You gently push him back. As you do, you hear the voice. Tell him. Finish the conversation from earlier. Jeffrey's like, tell me what? He looks at you, and then he looks like at the roof because he doesn't know where to look because the voice is just all around. He's like, tell me what? And he goes, oh, you haven't figured it out. So many abs, so little brain cells.
Oh, Jeffrey, let me just solve this for you, my love. You're very sweet, kind, and very helpful kind of guy. But we've only known each other for a very short period of time. And as you have said, you've come to love me in this short period of time. I mean, maybe if I have more time, the love may grow. But at the moment, I like you.
You see him just kind of look at you, and he goes, oh, and you just like, it's that you've kicked the puppy dog look in his eyes. Just feel it as he drops. I want you to give me a charisma roll right now.
20.
He's like, of course. I don't know what you thought I was going to say, but that's I was just saying I was very thankful that you invited me onto the ship. You grab his shoulder and he actually pushes your hand. He goes, no, that's not necessary. I am an adult. I'm fine. And at this point you hear the voice go, this is entertaining. I wonder how many times I can do this. At that point, Jeffrey goes, he turns and you see he's got one tear, like a single tear rolling down his cheek. He like wipes it away and he's like, you bastard. If you do anything else to her, and then all of a sudden, a gust of air, hits him, shoves him behind the door. The door shuts again. And then you are alone with the voice again. He's like, I am really looking forward to what you do in round 2. And at that point, the door pops open again. When the door pops open, Jeffrey is kind of like, he's sitting next to the door, kind of head beneath his knees, and you see he actually has a 5 o'clock shadow, which he did not have before he got shoved through the door. And he just looks up and he goes, oh, Bethany. And then he kind of steps in and he goes, I was out there for 6 hours trying to get back to you. I thought it had killed you. Oh, thank God. He hugs you again. And this time he goes, you're still wet? How are you still wet? It was 6 hours ago. And then you hear House go, tell him again. I took the memory from him. Tell him again. I want to see how well you do the second time around. At this point, Jeffrey goes, tell me what? Bethany, what is he talking about? We're going to cut back to Drifter before he gets to say anything. Back with Drifter. Drifter, what do you do?
I am... he is absorbed again in the moment.
Okay.
Is looking through the things and trying to read the messages.
Give me an intelligence roll, buddy.
Oh boy. That's a natural 20, so 23?
Fucking A, man. Alright, so...
You can't win all of them! As my revenge for the last episode.
The last episode was rough on you, I remember that. You start to go through these quite... Like, once you figured out the first one, you're like, okay, I get this now. I get this. And you start to kind of like, almost desperately push through the junk. Like, thirsting for knowledge. Like, it hits you, like, almost like a sickness. Like, oh, I'm starting to figure shit out, finally. Now I can get a hold of this. And you start to read, basically, the history of this TARDIS. This TARDIS is a junk TARDIS that was built on the spot out of pieces of other broken, destroyed TARDISes. It was used once to attempt to gain entry to a different working TARDIS. It successfully did. However, there is a protocol in the TARDIS where when a room is deleted, the console can never be deleted. It resets back to all the people back to the original room. The console itself is deleted. However, the TARDIS was in the console room. There was a deletion when that happened. Now, this TARDIS has no recollection, no memory, no mathematical equation for what happened after that. All it knows is it was left adrift in space. It was left adrift in space with a piece of something that was otherworldly, some evil. It managed to lock that evil away before that evil gained purchase in itself. And then it had to reach out. It had to look. It had to find somebody to control it, to use it, to protect it. No, it couldn't do that from the Time Lords because it's not technically a real TARDIS. To go back to the Time Lords would mean immediate destruction for the TARDIS. However, it found something else. A small boy, back in the 80s. The 80s, a boy named Spencer York, who potentially had the abilities to control the TARDIS, to wield the TARDIS, to pilot the TARDIS. However, the problem was it could not delete the entity named House. And then that is when you start to get to the end, the desperation as you crawl through these mathematical equations and you finally get to it. That house that you loved so much, the house that had been with you the entire time, that was the entity. That was what it had done, was capsulated it into whatever the entity was. The entity formed itself as a house, and then it expelled itself, but it could never get itself far enough away. And unfortunately, the boy that found the door, that the door found, also found the toy and brought the house right back to the TARDIS. So the entire time, the toy that he was obsessed with was a booby trap that has now gone off. Alright. I'm going to give you time to think about that, and then we'll switch right back because Bethany has to dump a guy again. Bethany. So you're standing there, he's like, tell me what, Bethany, are you alright? Has he done something to you?
Jeffrey, I'm fine. Give me just a moment. Alex,
of course.
Are you listening?
It's like, of course. I'm all ears.
No. My feelings is not something you can mess around with. It's not fair. I'm not a puppet. I am a human.
He stops and he goes, are you standing up to me?
Well, I'm just letting you know it's not nice to be mean to people.
I am not concerned with what is nice. I am concerned with being entertained, and you are starting to bore me.
Well, I'm a pretty boring person.
At this point he goes, well then, I think I've had enough of you. And at this point, a spike shoots out of the wall. It's this hard metal spike. It goes right for you, just hurtling through the air. And it is at this point that Jeffrey shoves you out of the way, and that spike drives right into his chest. Deadlock center, right through him, impaling him and slamming him to the wall. House is like, well, one more entertainment from the boy with no brain cells. And basically Bethany stops, she realizes what's happened, and she looks up. I'm going to need you to give me an endurance roll, and it's got to be a big one because this is a pretty heavy fucking shock to the system for Beth.
17.
You're doing all right. I'm going to say she's definitely going to have problems with this because she looks up, and sure enough, literally Jeffrey is stuck to the wall with the spear through him. Like blood coming out of his mouth, like breathing his last breaths. This guy who has traveled with you guys since episode 2, this guy who has been an important part, this man who is very obviously in love with Bethany, who she has now had to dump once and almost twice, who has now taken the spike for him, is just looking at her, and he just kind of smiles almost because he sees that Bethany is still okay, and he reaches out his hand to her.
I'm gonna turn around and I'm going to not look at him. I'm gonna be like, okay, House, I'm sorry. I didn't mean it. Can you fix it? Can you delete it? I'll do whatever. I'll break up with him again.
He goes, no. Unfortunately, Miss Parks, I made the mistake once of almost killing a human. I won't make it again.
I promise. I'll break his heart as many times as you want. Just make sure he's okay.
This is continuing to entertain me. That you beg for his life while he lives his last breath. I am enjoying this.
Please, I beg you, please. Just give him his life back. I'll break up with him 100 million times. We can do this for hours.
There's no response from House. You could tell he's just watching and soaking it up.
And I'm going to go over and I'm going to ask you to roll medical to see if there's anything I can do to medically help him in any kind of way.
You do not have to roll. He has a he has a 2-foot metal spike through the dead center of his body. Like, looking at him, his lungs are ruptured. He has probably lost multiple arteries at this point. There's definitely other organs right there that are just shredded. His stomach lining is probably fried. Like, it's actually almost worse for you because Bethany can almost see, because of her medical knowledge, exactly how fucking dead Jeffrey is about to become. And there's no roll on the earth that is going to save Jeffrey, unfortunately. He just kind of looks at you and reaches out his hand one more time.
Then Bethany's gonna go over to Jeffrey and say, I know we've only known each other for a very short time, but I'm really sure that love could have grown. I really have come very fond of you.
He holds your hand and he just looks at you and goes, I'm just so glad you're okay. And then he dies. And we switch back to Drifter. Drifter, what are you doing? I know it's hard to now play when you've watched that.
Alright. It's so hard to...
Yeah. Told you guys it was going to be a heavy
but also,
one.
This was all set again, and kind of like really angry about this. It's just other things just playing with me again. Alright. Door, you and I are... guess this was meant to be. We're just... broken things put back together again.
You can actually hear echoing through the hallways. I will find you. I will find you. And just something about the timer in your head makes you realize that this archive room is somehow invisible to this entity, at least until such time as the entity gains full control of the TARDIS.
One more unspeakable thing from time set to ruin a perfectly fine day. Okay, do we have anything to get rid of this thing. And I'm going to go through this archive. Is there? Are there other tools or parts of things or places I can go, or like an oxygen tank, or
there is
hacking?
There's nowhere you can go, but there are a lot of very sophisticated, like, it all looks like junk, but it's all TARDIS pieces that are in this room, like extremely powerful pieces of equipment. However, I want to give you an intelligence check. Give me an intelligence check.
I'm gonna kludge with a 15.
Okay. You do realize that this thing, like this entity, it's all-knowing now that it's in the TARDIS, but there is physics, a biology to it, so to speak. It's why it hasn't been able to just go to the door the entire time that it's been sitting next to the door as the house. It couldn't do that because it has to be in the right place at the right time. The right place and the right time is the control room. However, it could very easily be confused with where it's supposed to be. And that's the only hint I'm going to give you. I think I gave you enough there.
Yeah. Just I have I'm going to look for another useful piece of equipment in here. Because I have at the moment my sonic crowbar, but if I can clunk something together quickly that can help with this, I'd like to.
Okay, give me an intelligence check. Perception check.
And for fun, I'm going to spend an narrative point to shift that back to intelligence. And it didn't matter because I rolled badly. That's a 6. But that's fine. It's only fair. I can't keep No. I find things that look really cool. I have made a box that, like, it could maybe be a birdhouse eventually if I work on it, but it's not fixing this.
I'm gonna mark that off as a bad outcome, but I'm gonna say you do find some stuff that allows you to put some things together. You can also kind of work your crowbar so that it can kind of put stuff together, because you can kind of bash stuff together or whatever. It depends on what you want to build out of this. What do you want to build out of this junk? What's the plan here?
So I'd like to do. I'm working on a couple of things. I want to try to make another control room. And I'd also like to make a device that can a distraction device.
Okay, I know how I'm going to hurt you then. Okay,
go for it. Yep.
So you are able to put a control room together. It's a super shoddy control room. It is nowhere near the control room that was even put together to create this TARDIS in the first place. But it is something sufficient enough to trick the entity into possibly inhabiting it by accident. However, it is too big to get it to the actual control room, and you will have to find some way to get the entity to basically kind of leave the TARDIS, or at least have a chunk of it outside the TARDIS and come to the control room, basically, for this trap to work. You're going, and so there's two ways to do this. I'm going to give you this. You can attempt to try and contact Bethany. You have no idea what has happened to her or Jeffrey. Or you can just basically alert the entity to where you are on the ship and hope that he brings himself here to kill you personally. But at the same time, he could just vent the oxygen there and never actually enter the room. While you're thinking about that, Bethany.
Yep.
It's gonna get worse. So you're holding his hand. Tears have started to well up in your eyes now. Like, Jeffrey was a good person. He's a friend. He's dead. He says wonderful things. You kind of close your eyes. You can feel the tears going down your cheeks. And one thing that's even more irritating, as much as you've kind of conquered your monophobia, you are now alone with this creature. Like, this is like your worst nightmares realized yet again, when all of a sudden the hand grabs back. And as the hand grabs back, you get this like spark of hope for a second. And then you look up and you see just this weird black cloud almost emanating out of the environment around you and into Jeffrey's eyes from his dead body. And then he just kind of like sparks up and he smiles at you with a smile that you instinctively know is not Jeffrey. And then the metal spear in his chest, he just kind of pulls out and tosses away. And then you hear the voice. It's Jeffrey's voice, but the words, the connotation is different. He goes, this would be interesting. Maybe I will get the false body now. I can pretend to be like him. Can fly around in my box. But instead of solving problems, I can create them. That sounds entertaining indeed. And then he looks at you and he goes, and every doctor needs their companion.
I refuse.
You can't. What are you going to do, girl? How are you going to get away? I control your entire environment, your entire life. Let's face it, you're not ready to die. You've got too much spirit. So you're going
I turn to run for the door, to open the door and scream for the drifter.
Okay, alright. Do you run through the door as well? Like, just like away from
I run out, going out.
Alright,
I'm literally screaming.
You run through the bedroom door, you open the door, you scream for the drifter, another bedroom, you run through that bedroom, you open the door, you scream for the drifter, another bedroom. You're unable to tell whether he's looping the rooms on you or whether you guys just shouldn't have put 7 bedrooms in a TARDIS. But you're just screaming for the bedroom, and then you realize that he's actually
There's more
not.
than 7 bedrooms.
I thought there was 7 bedrooms. It was 7. Wasn't it 7? Was there more than 7?
Yeah, there was more than 7.
I need to check the continuity now. There's like 40 bedrooms. As you're running through it, you realize he hasn't looped the bedrooms. You are making progress, and he just turns in the doorway and goes, I haven't participated in a foot chase in 7 millennia. Let's see how these legs work. And then he just starts to like robot sprint after you, the creepiest way that somebody could sprint. Back to Drifter, what are you doing?
Oh, I can't get this thing into a side room or anything, can I?
I do want to say this. You do, for some reason, hear Bethany Parks' echoing voice. What's interesting about this is you instinctively know where she is in the TARDIS. You're not exactly sure why or how, because you're definitely too far away to hear her sound, but you can hear her yelling for you, and you can hear her running, even though she is not in your immediate vicinity. She can't physically possibly be.
Alright. I am going to hop into the fake control room.
Okay.
I'm going to try to plug the door that would be to the rest of it into the other door space.
Okay.
And call Bethany.
So you're gonna try and hack the TARDIS, kind of. Give me,
Yes, sir.
give me a intelligence roll, and I love this. I'm very happy with how this is working out.
I'll take my supremacy. That is going to be a 21. Oh, I'm so glad I used that.
Okay. Got a 21. That's sweet. All right, Bethany, this is what happens. My God. I love that we found our pacing finally. Bethany, you are running through doors, screaming for the Drifter. You look behind you, and he is just Terminator T-1000 sprinting after you, just smiling the entire time. You open the door. The next door you open, instead of going into a bedroom, it goes into this archive room and right into the Drifter. Drifter, the door pops open. Bethany is in front of you, because you basically have hacked it so that the door opens in a different place on the TARDIS than it did before, because this is still a TARDIS in flux. So like it pops open, there you are, there she is, and 2 rooms away is the entity in Jeffrey. You can tell it immediately as he's chasing. What do you do, Drifter? What do you do, Bethany? Let's go Drifter first.
Slam the door shut.
Get the
No,
get
the door open.
Oh, thank goodness we've made it back to the real control room.
Okay. So Bethany slams the door shut. Do you reopen the door for him?
I'm not I'm not sealing the door. It's
Okay.
just a door. I didn't build it that well.
All right. So Bethany slams the door shut. Bethany, Drifter. You know what? I'm gonna have you guys roll initiative because you guys have maybe a couple of seconds to say something to one another, and who gets to say what? Because I know you'll both just start yelling at each other's faces. So both of you give me a d20. Tell me who gets the higher. They get to yell the thing at the other person.
Whoa.
I got a 15.
You go first.
Bethany, yell some stuff. You got a couple of seconds.
Drifter, he killed Jeffrey!
I have a trap.
Boom! The door explodes. And it just slams open. You see Jeffrey standing there, the hole in his chest slowly healing, kind of sewing itself up from the black tar, just in the swim trunks, his black eyes looking, and he's like, thought you could distract me with the humans again, just like your original, but this time you have made a dreadful mistake. You didn't get there in time. Not this time. What does she call you? Drifter? And he steps into the room, he steps to the console, and he goes, I will be taking this. And he touches the console. As he touches the console, the black starts to leave Jeffrey. It starts to go into the console. As it starts to go into the console, you see Jeffrey's face. Like Jeffrey turns around. You see, in just this moment, the dead Jeffrey is alive because of this thing. He locks eyes with the Drifter, and he goes, listen, I see what you did. You have to delete the room, or he'll figure it out. You have to do it with me inside, and you have to do it now. I'm already dead. He looks real hard at Drifter. He's like, I know she wouldn't, but I know you will. You gotta do it now, before he figures out what you've done. This isn't gonna be enough. What do you do, Drifter? Bethany, you're hearing this.
She's
Floored right now. Okay, alright. It's Drifter's moment right now. I get it. I totally get it. Drifter, what do you do? You got a real Russell T. Davies episode going on right now. Jeffrey's eyes narrow at you and he goes,
I need to...
It's the only way.
Can I get a roll to think of if there's a valid other way out of this?
Sure.
Oh, betting my own dice luck on this is not great. I don't think a 10 is going to be enough.
There's no other way out of this, and you have precious little time. While the entity has been tricked by your rudimentary console, the minute his whole entire entity is in this console, he's going to realize what happened, and he's going to backpedal back into Jeffrey and put himself back in the TARDIS. And there's nothing you're going to be able to do to stop him after that. This trick is a one-time trick use, and the only way to kill this guy is to take him out now.
And the thing is Bethany wouldn't know.
Yeah, Bethany wouldn't know. Yeah. Nobody would know. This is it. This is the only way to deal with this. But you have to get out of this room, and you have to have this TARDIS delete this room. The archive room from its internal memory. There's no other way, Drifter. There's no other way. I gave him the roll. You did. You did. I'm sorry, man. I gave you the roll. There's no other way.
You did. I asked for it.
I appreciate you asked for it. I gave it to you. There's no other way. It's Jeffrey or you guys. And the TARDIS, and possibly the universe.
Ooh.
There is no other way. As the game master, as the finger of the Almighty himself, I am telling you there's no other way. I gave you the roll. There's no other way. I know you're trying to save him, and that's why you're my doctor, but it is not one that you can win. And you see that. There is no way out of this.
Just gonna hold his hand. You deserve more than this.
He looks at you, and then he looks at Bethany, and he says, I got so much more than I deserved. Now go.
Gonna grab Bethany's hand and look her dead in the eyes. I'm so sorry. And shove her out of the purple door.
Okay. Oh, out of the entire TARDIS?
No, well, we're in. Yeah. We don't have access to the. We're out of the fake. What would have been the front door of the fake.
I see what you're saying. I see. So back into the normal TARDIS, basically.
Back into the archive room.
Okay. Well, no, you're in the archive room. Out of the archive.
So
okay.
Spatially, the console is in the archive room.
Right. Yes.
But the other door connects to the other loop.
This is true.
I was thinking at one point of trying to connect the front door also to the front door to vent this thing into space. As an option, I didn't do that, and it's making me very unhappy right now.
I will say that would not have necessarily solved the problem as permanently as what you're about to do, so just gonna say that. That is a good idea, though.
You know how many plots and backup plans you've ruined of mine?
Oh.
Yes, it's fair.
Ooh. It's fun.
Yeah, we're out.
All right, you guys are out.
And delete.
All right, you delete the archive room. As you delete it, as it starts to go white, you almost can hear House, no! And you see Jeffrey just kind of turn back to the console, and he goes, not just all the time in the universe. Gave me all the time in the universe. And then he evaporates too, with the room completely getting deleted. The TARDIS immediately, almost like a rubber band, rewrites itself, bouncing all the rooms back to the original spatial places before the corruption, kind of almost like a defrag program. And sure enough, both of you find yourselves laying on the ground in the control room, exhausted and tired.
So because the house rerouted everything, that's why there were so many bedrooms.
Oh, okay.
Oh.
Maybe. I do want to really quickly get an endurance roll from you, Drifter.
No. That's 5.
Earth shattering headache. That headache that has been chasing you around, those pinpoint, like, complete numbness in the body sort of headache just ripples through your face, and you're all the way down to your extremities. And it is starting to become aware to you that something more is going on inside your body that maybe hasn't finished happening yet, and that you may be in trouble for. It starts to clear. You're in pain for a while, just kind of holding your head. And all of a sudden you realize Bethany has not come to your aid, which she usually does. She's usually right there to help you with the headache. Finally, the headache ceases and you turn around and you see Bethany is actually writhing on the floor in pain too. Parts of her body is kind of like becoming translucent and then returning, and then becoming translucent and returning. Almost, give me one final intelligence roll. Just
19.
She's a paradox, and something has happened in time to make her a paradox, and the TARDIS is protecting her from that, from whatever paradox backslash it is. And it is at this point that you receive a message on your console as we set up for the final 2 episodes. And it is a set of spatial temporal coordinates, and all it has at the bottom is a signature, the Bohemian. This has been ID, a Doctor Who actual play podcast. Episode 7, The Ones Who Survived. The Drifter was played by Aether Dios. Bethany Parks was played by Hope Child. Check her out at Created With Love by Jackie Rakes. Written, directed, and game mastered by myself, Zachariah at OMG. You can check out the game that I used to play this with at itch.io. Search Single Mod in the bar. We will endeavor to be back next week with another episode.